Friends, Bryan here. Again, I'm in the cornfield, and I want to talk to you guys today about a very peculiar type of personality that I have encountered in my time. Not very often, but enough to find it very bizarre and want to talk to you guys about. And I'm curious if you guys have ever encountered this, okay? And this is the person I call the list maker, okay? Stay with me. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of spending some time with an old friend, and we talked about someone we knew when we were younger. Unfortunately, that person is no longer with us. There was mental illness involved, but I knew this person for a long time. And he had a very peculiar personality. He had some good qualities too. Let's balance out the bad with the good. But towards the end, he did this thing with his friends, okay? Now, stay with me on this. Where, I guess I was in my late 20s and, things were going okay with him. Sometimes you didn't know what you were going to get, but things were going okay. One day we talked on the phone. He just started putting me down, criticizing me and everything. And we were talking on the phone. I'm like, dude, I'm at work. I got to talk to you later. So I just sent him a message later on that day just saying, hey, like, what was up with that phone conversation? Like, what? And he sent me this list of things that I've done wrong or said wrong or things that he didn't like that I've done since grade 2. And I remember just looking at it going, oh my God, like, I don't know what's going on here. I just said, dude, you've got some problems and I'm not dealing with it. And he did that with all his circle of friends. And then down the road, he chose to exit this world. Although I had my ups and downs with him, it was still very sad. But that was a very peculiar part of his personality. But I wanted to talk about the few encounters I've had in my life with people like that who, I often tell you guys, you can't make everybody happy, no matter what. Like, there's people out there, you could give them a check for $1,000 and they'd probably still have a complaint or something bad that they'd have to say about it. Well, Bryan, like, one of your eyes was aligned 1 degree off to the left when you gave me the check, but I've had this happen. You guys know I was a professional musician for many years. And I remember in a few of the bands I played in over the years, sometimes the wives and the girlfriends. So any musicians out there, when you have a band member whose wife or girlfriend is too enmeshed in the band and the business, that's a warning sign. But where I remember I left this one band, it was very weird because I was very good to this woman's husband. He was always complaining about money, so we would take on a lot of extra expenses. I'd drive him everywhere for rehearsals or gigs, never ask him for a cent of gas money. Took on a lot of extra expenses they didn't know about, but we got paid the same amount of money. And I got an opportunity to leave to a much better band. And I get this frickin' email from her. After I was nice enough to let them use some of my sound equipment to keep making money after I was not in the band anymore. Of course, they didn't offer me anything. All these things, her little list of things about me that she didn't like. And I'm going, okay. I've had that in another band. It was kind of like one of these things. It's like, she had a list too. And it was one of those things where, when you have people that can talk, be loud, have an opinion, joke about whatever they want. Like this woman that I was telling you about, when they would come out to the gigs and stuff, they'd joke a lot about sexual stuff. And I remember one time I made one sexual joke. And she put that in her list in her email against me. And I'm like, okay, got it. Bryan is not allowed to have an opinion. Bryan can't say anything. He can't joke about anything, but you're allowed to do whatever you want. This is a constant theme through all these people that I've seen. And I remember this other band I was in. It was so weird because I owned 80% of the production equipment, meaning sound and lighting. I booked all the gigs. We were very busy. And the drummer, he brought his girlfriend to every gig. I think it was because he had a habit of talking to other women online and doing some underhanded things that she didn't know about or she eventually found out about. So I don't think she trusted him. And she'd bitch and complain about how often we were playing, that they had no time. And anyway, but she just really didn't like me. And I'm like, I'm trying to work here. I just don't need your bullshit. But her attitude would be like, they could laugh and joke or whatever, but if I would have an opinion on something or make a joke, she would just be this infamous thing, that look, I talked about being a step parent And when you try and communicate, that's all you'd get for years and years and years. It's not a nice feeling, right? And people wonder why in the end you just say, okay, I'm out of here. So, or when you have people that don't like you, okay? Maybe they've sent you a list in an email or in a message of all these things about you that they don't like and you don't speak anymore. But yet, you will catch them snooping around. They watch your YouTube videos. Or, again, I went through a phase of being very antisocial, not the personality disorder. I just didn't want anything to do with people for a long time. But now, with a new business, I have to be more social. I've talked about this. I have to be on Facebook. I have to be on Instagram. It's not necessarily that I want to, but, you'll catch these people on your Instagram or creeping some of your stuff with these fake accounts that they make up. And you're sitting there going, if you have a list about me that you don't like and you don't like me, what the fuck are you doing watching my YouTube videos and creeping me on Instagram and Facebook? Like, you're actually creating fake accounts to check up on me. Like, what the fuck is that all about? So it's a human behavior, folks. I was wondering if you guys have ever experienced the list maker, and you're kind of thinking, wow, like I take up that much real estate in your head. You can't please everybody. Not everyone's going to like you. And you guys can probably agree with me, as you age, you kind of care less and less about that stuff. It's like, hey, I am what I am, said Popeye the Sailor Man. And there's going to be people, even people that you're very nice to or you're very generous with, they're just not going to like you, man. As I said, you could give them a check for $1,000 and they'd probably still have something to complain about. Or people that you've been nothing but nice to, or who have benefited off of you. And then they have the nerve to have a list of things about you that they don't like, but yet they're creeping your social media. What sense does that make? So I have encountered this, not overly often, but enough times in my life to go, wow, the list taker, the list maker. When someone has enough of a problem with you that they start writing down things about you. So, and in conclusion, when people make a list, I talked to you guys about a few years back, it was between 2018 and 2020. I was in a very bad relationship with someone I never, ever would have normally associated with. I was in a very bad place in my life. She was not a particularly attractive woman. She had offered nothing but endless drama, problems, fighting, stress, offered nothing to anyone in a relationship that I should not have been in the first place. She had a personality disorder, but I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want it to seem like I'm dumping on people that have those issues. And I remember it was not an easy relationship to leave because when you're dealing with that kind of crazy, you don't know what they're going to do when you're trying to walk out the door, especially if you witness them slashing their wrists when you're trying to pack up or, trying to instigate a fight, or like you're dealing with a different level of crazy. So they're not the easiest relationships to leave. But I remember this one day, for whatever happened, maybe I'll talk about it in another video. Probably not, though. Again, it's just weird posting that to YouTube. I would have posted it to Patreon, but I'm not doing a Patreon. Maybe we'll have to do a membership thing. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know what happened this one day. I just had all the strength from all the BS I'd been tolerating. And the last thing that she said that made me say, okay, she said, I started a file on you a couple of weeks ago, and I've been writing down all of your behaviors that I don't like. And I've listed like 200 or 400 things in two weeks. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, God, I've been running around taking care of your kids, making meals, cleaning, serving you food on your couch. So I looked at her and it's like, you did what now? You made a list on me? Yeah, I made a list. Oh, that's it. I snapped and I was gone. Not an easy process, but man, that's another reason why I tell people, if you're in a toxic relationship, man, there's nothing is worth putting up with that bullshit. Get out of that, man. You'll enjoy life. That's the thing too with, relationships. If it's not a good one, Who needs the bullshit, man? Enjoy being single. Enjoy getting up in the morning and picking what you want to do, not having to get permission from someone else and always having to, like, who needs the bullshit, man? If you're in a toxic relationship, get out. Anyway, I digress. The point is, have you guys ever experienced the list maker? Someone who's made a list of things about you and either sent it to you or you got it from a third party and you're kind of going, what the hell is this? And then a lot of peculiar behaviors there. I've found for me, it was always from people that I was very good to. Very strange. Have you guys experienced it? I hope you guys are doing well. Comment below, and we will see you next time. This is Bryan signing off.